If that number is less than 0, let's put in never. That looks cleaner. Obviously, in this case, we just go back and we have the numbers we desired. So now we have a fully functioning template to calculate. And let me change this here if you want to work with it. Just loaded the new version. We can come up with different cash flows and figure out what we want. Here's an example. According to NPV criteria, would you go with this project? Let me make it bigger. Now that I have a good function for that. Yes or no? If you use the NPV criteria, would you go with this project?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's greater than 0.
Exactly, because it's positive. How about the IRR rule? And don't look at the MIR, but just looking at IRR, would you actually go with this project based on IRR? You're nodding your head, but you're also missing something. The cash flows are not conventional, so that IRR may not be unique. In fact, let's have a negative starting value for the IRR function. Let's do a large negative. As you can see, there is a second solution to the equation that defines IRR. That's because there's a sign change. Okay. Cash flows are positive, but they turn into negative. Or cash flows are non-negative, then they turn into negative. If they turn back into positive, that would have been a second sign change. That would have meant there could be 3 solutions. But either way, there's going to be more than one. Okay? For example, let's do this. All right. Now let's make that 7 years. And looks like that's the IRR. Maybe there is one more, I don't know. But either way, cash flows are not conventional. Therefore, I'm not going to use IRR at all. In that case, what can we do? What can we rely on? When the cash flows are not conventional, which one do we use? I can't use IRR because it loses its meaning. So what do I use? I know some of you weren't here last Wednesday. That's why we calculated the modified IRR, which modifies the cash flows so that negative cash flows are modified to be zero for that year, and present value of that is added to the initial cost. We just modify the cash flows to be conventional, and then we calculate the IRR for that. That's what modified IRR is. A better name for it is IRR for modified cash flows. But, that's a mouthful, so we just say modified IRR. But in this case, we would still accept it because modified IRR is indeed greater than cost of capital. I could even also make a little check mark. Let me see. And let's modify that. Oops. I'm going to do it with formulas. If it's greater than or equal to cost of capital plus 0.005, I'm just going to put a 0.5% cushion. For example, let me make this I'm just trying to see. Okay. Yeah, it's within 0.5% of cost of capital, what have you. As you can see, in this case, you have two cases of going into payback, but we're just looking for the first one. So that didn't change. Same here. So funny stuff can happen with non-conventional stuff. In any case, is there actually a good reason to use payback when cash flows are not negative? Are not conventional? No, there isn't. Okay. In fact, if I was using discounted payback, it may not be a bad idea to calculate the discounted payback for the modified cash flows, which I'm not going to do, but you could. Or you could do it with I don't know. I will leave that to you. When cash flows are not conventional, NPV and IRR could result in different decisions. One says negative, this one says close enough. Actually, it shouldn't have said that. Let me see. Because I said 0.05. Oh, okay. See, when you make a mistake, okay. So anytime you're gonna need to calculate investment criteria, now this is your template. All you have to do is, interpret the numbers and think about what they mean. On Wednesday, I'm gonna start talking about actually coming up with these cash flows, but let's kind of get the arguments started. Let's save this. Actually, let me save it here too.